I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. Don't miss Cold's new Season 3, where I look into the unsolved disappearance of Cherie Warren, a woman last seen leaving her job at a Salt Lake City office in 1985. Police cast suspicion on Cherie's estranged husband and boyfriend, but never made any arrests or recovered Cherie's remains. Find Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, anywhere you get your podcasts.
You're listening to Project Recovery, and this is part 2 of Lauren's story. And in the first part, you brought up your siblings a couple times. And I know in my addiction, and I know growing up, my siblings were the two people that I couldn't pull anything on. They would call me out on everything.
Yeah.
What were your siblings like during your active addiction?
That, very much so. My little brother and I had a really close relationship in my early 20s, and his early 20s were 3 years apart, and so we hung out a lot and had a really close relationship. But when he saw me getting deeper and deeper into my addiction, he just backed off. He didn't say anything other than, like, I love you, and then that was kind of
But I don't want to be a part of this.
Yeah, not the end of our relationship, but more so, like, I just can't support you in this. My older sister, she held it against me. She felt like that was the only thing my parents focused on, so she felt like she was kind of lost as far as, like, her needs or her emotional needs that she needs from our parents, and she felt like her kids were lost because I was a single parent for such a long time, and my mom basically helped me raise my son, so a lot of her focus was on that. And do
you think there was some truth to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how could you not worry about your child who is out making dumb decisions and they have a kid with them, at home, and it's just the two of them? Of course, like, I'm sure that's where their worries were. And I don't blame her for having that resentment. I could see why it would be so easy to build. And then my younger sister, she's just never given up on me. She's been
She's your ride or die.
Yeah, my number one supporter. She's amazing.
I'm so thankful for you coming on and telling your side of the story. And after meeting your dad and meeting you, I know there's a lot of love in your family. On this show, we often talk about someone's rock bottom, and so we've kind of just talked about your story. But what led you to get help this last time?
So, in May of 2018, my son's dad came to drop him back off to me and witnessed me doing a drug deal and was like, oh, heck no, you're not going to take my kid. And he took him from me and wouldn't let me have any contact with him. This is the longest my son had ever been away from me because his dad works a lot and travels a lot, so I had him the majority of the time. So it was something that was really traumatic for me and for my son. And so immediately that night I called my parents and I was just like, I need help. Like, can I come, live with you? I was living with my grandma at that time. I had been evicted from my apartment because of just the mess that I was in. And, my mom came down and helped me get all my stuff, and I moved up there. And I had probably a good 6 months of being clean. I did an outpatient program up there. I just really wanted to get better. I just knew I was so far into it, and I was just so far gone that I just wanted to be better. And so I kind of did the same thing where I just kind of did the drug test that I had to and just kind of didn't take it seriously. And so mentally I still was really messed up. I think that's where the guilt weighed on me so heavy that I just couldn't handle it anymore. So I started using again, and November of 2018, my dad came downstairs to ask me a question and totally caught me smoking in the bathroom. And instead of him freaking out, he just said, what can I do to help you? Like, what do you need from me? And we ended up having a really good conversation that night. And I told him that I needed help, but I wasn't ready to, fully commit to that yet. So then it was like, okay, I need to go to rehab, but I want to stay through the holidays because it's almost Christmas time. It's almost my son's birthday. I want to be here for that. So they were very patient with me. I still used the entire time, probably more than ever, because I knew eventually it was going to come to an end. And so things just got really dark and deep, and January rolled around, my son's birthday came up, and my dad was like, okay, when are you going to do it? And I was just like, I don't know. So I went and checked out Aqua Recovery up in Midway, and just doing the walk through there, I felt this sense of peace, like this sense of almost something that completed that hole that was there for so long. And so I agreed to go. It took probably about 3 more weeks for me to finally agree to go, but I was just done. I was sick of being unhappy. I was sick of feeling worthless, a waste of space.
If I remember talking to your dad, his story was a little different.
Yeah.
You ended up in Salt Lake, and did you not get arrested or trouble?
I did. Yes, that was in 2018, right before I moved up there with them. I ran out of gas on the freeway, and a cop came over to help me, with my car, and clearly saw just drug paraphernalia all in the car. And so they kind of tricked me into thinking that I was going to go get gas, help me get my car to the gas station, and I got out, and they were like, yeah, you're going to jail. And I was just like, oh, my God. Like, I had been to jail when I was 18, but it was like a book and release, something super easy. Like, not that that's something to be proud of, but it wasn't the whole experience of jail. This was the whole experience of jail, detoxing in jail, knowing that I couldn't call my dad because he told me, I will always be there to help you, but if you ever go to jail, don't even bother calling me because I won't come pick you up. I'll love you from afar. I will never give up on you, but I won't come get you out. So I sat there for 2 days until they let me out on my OR, and it was probably the most miserable 2 days I've ever had. And unfortunately, that wasn't enough to keep me clean. I actually walked 4 miles to my dealer's house that night when I got out at 1:30 in the morning because that's how desperate I was. It wasn't enough of a wake-up call. I don't think the wake-up call came, that rock bottom came until I saw my dad's face when he opened that door and he saw me. And it wasn't a face of like, oh, I'm pissed. It was a face of like, I am so worried. Like, so worried. What can I do to help you? And that face is what keeps me going today. It's what keeps me sober. One of my therapists calls it the edge of the bed moment. And for him, when he got clean, his rock bottom was sitting at the edge of his bed and watching his wife, his pregnant wife, take his kid, leave in the car and just drive off out the window. And that's what made him want to get help. And for me, my edge of the bed moment is just seeing my dad's face and knowing that, like, he still loves me. I'm smoking heroin in his bathroom and he still loves me and just wants the best for me. And I think that was the push I needed. I mean, it was sad because, like, even, I had a great relationship with my boyfriend. He had just come back into my life. I have a beautiful family. I have unconditional love from my son. Excuse me. And even that wasn't enough to get me sober. It wasn't. I just felt like a waste of space. I felt like a soulless zombie just going through the motions. Sure, son, you want cereal? Okay, here you go. Oh, I guess it's time to give you a bath. Okay, let's give you a bath. With, no emotion.
You weren't present?
No, not at all. No.
So after 3 weeks of saying you're going to go to recovery, you end up in recovery.
Yeah, my dad came home and was like, you have 5 minutes to pack your crap. I'm either taking you to Aqua or I'm taking you to the homeless shelter downtown. Like, I love you, but I can't enable you anymore. And I didn't know at that time, but a few weeks prior to me going into Aqua, my parents had signed up for a 12-week course through USARA that was for parents of addicts, and they had been already a few weeks into that, and I knew something was different because they were approaching me a lot different and being more open, I guess, instead of just like how dare you do this?
They educated themselves.
Yeah. And so he gave me that ultimatum. And, of course, I was like, shoot, I'm going to rehab. Like, there's no way I'm going downtown. Like, no, I'll never come out of there. I'll never recover if that's where I go. And so I went in, and my dad was so mad at me, he wouldn't take me. He made my mom take me. And he just said, take this for all it's worth. Absorb as much information as you can. Give it 100% of what you have. And there's nothing bad that could come out of it. And those were the words that just kept me motivated on the days that I didn't want to be there, the days that I just wanted to run, the days where I just felt like I couldn't sit in one of those stupid classes for one more day. Those were the words that I remember, and that's what helped me learn those tools and those skills. And it's in those stupid classes where I remember the most stuff, you know. I remember thinking, if I have to hear that one more DBT skill one more time, I'm going to freak out. But those are the ones that run through my brain when I am having issues. Those are what help me kind of step back and process through the emotions and the feelings instead of running from them, because I'm a super good runner.
You're listening to Project Recovery. This is Llewelyn's story. Lauren Llewelyn. Sorry about that. You couldn't say that name if you were drunk.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not even going to try.
Just
Sober. Lauren Llewelyn.
Lauren Llewelyn. Say it 3 times.
No, I can't do it.
Well, you practice saying it 3 times. Project Recovery will be right back.
Two years ago, Americans watched in horror as a crisis unfolded at the Kabul airport.
There's desperation and anguish.
More than 80,000 Afghans have since arrived in America, but this story is still unfolding. I'm Andrea Smartin. In my new podcast, Stranger Becomes Neighbor, we'll find out what happens to these new arrivals in our communities. Who would help our newest neighbors? Follow us at kslpodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you listen.
So how many days were you in the rehab facility?
75.
That's a long time.
I would have stayed 90 if I could have. But at that point, my therapist said that I was just running from real life at that point.
And that's a real thing. A lot of people, because you want to stay in the comfort of it, because you're on a pretty strict plan. They tell you what to do. They tell you where to go.
Safe.
It's safe. And so a lot of times people are scared to go back out into the real world because there's a lot of unknown and there's a lot of stuff you have to deal with.
And the last time you were in the real world, it wasn't working out so well.
Yeah, so that's a big,
exactly.
scary thing. And so your therapist at 75 days goes, I think you got as much as you're going to get out of this.
Yeah. And I think her saying that gave me that confidence of like, okay, if she believes that I am ready, like she must see something that maybe I don't 100% feel yet, but I know I have the skills that I need to be able to go out there and do it. And the first few months being out, I was terrified. I didn't do much. I stayed in my little bubble of my family, my boyfriend and our kids, and that was about it. I stuck close to the people who were in treatment with me because we all kind of kept each other accountable. And that, I was scared to go work. I was scared to, be away from anybody where I could, maybe do something that
New sobriety is like that first time you drive your kid home from the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're like, get away from me. Don't talk to me. I've got a precious cargo right here. I just want to get home and just try to figure out this whole world because there's really no instruction booklet for it.
No, not at all.
And so the first couple of months, you kind of you baby stepped your way into real life.
Yeah. I stuck really close to the aftercare program that they offer at Aqua, which I still go to once a week. I just stayed close to my little bubble until I felt like, I won't ever say I got this. I think that's when I should be worried when I say, oh yeah, I got this, because I think it's something that is a choice every single day to get up.
It's a kiss of death.
Yeah. But once I felt comfortable, okay, now I can start working. Okay, now I can, branch out a little bit. And things have been good since then. So good.
So what does life look like right now for Lauren?
Amazing. Something more special than I ever thought I would ever have or deserve. I work at a youth treatment center now, dealing with adolescents who struggle with substance abuse, suicide, mental issues. Defiant disorder is something I was really good at as a kid.
Casey knows all about that.
Yeah. So that is super awesome. It's really rewarding. It's very tough some days, but at the end of the day, knowing that maybe I can make a little bit of an impact on their life at the age that I started struggling, maybe it could, help them not have to deal with a lot of what I dealt with. And it's super cool.
What's the relationship with your siblings like?
Good. So good. Me and my older sister are getting back to our close relationship. We've always had a love-hate relationship, and she would agree with that. We love to hate each other, but we'd be the first one to beat someone up if they tried to mess with them. Mm-hmm. But we still are super close. Our kids are really close. They love getting together, and we have always been able to have really deep conversations about things, even if we might not agree with it, with each other all the time. We've always been able to have good conversation, and we're getting back to that point. I think my little brother is trusting me a little bit more, and hopefully, he'll see that I'm serious this time, because he's seen me do this over and over and over again. And so hopefully he knows that this is for real, and that his relationship means the world to me. And then me and my little sister, we're still solid. She's still there. She's always rooting for me, always has my back. And I really appreciate that.
And your dad.
Oh, my God. Me and my dad's relationship is night and day. It is something just so beautiful, so special. Sorry. I said I wasn't going to cry, but here I am.
This is your fourth time.
I know. Me and my dad had a really good relationship growing up. We were really super close. We did a lot together. And once I started down my path of craziness, we just got more distant and more distant and more distant, to the point where we couldn't even have a normal conversation with each other, because it would always end in screaming or yelling. Or I finally, at the very end, got to the point where I was like, Dad, this is going nowhere, so I'm just going to leave, because there was no point. And now he checks up on me, every couple of days, where I text him, and I can have healthy conversations with him. Just to see the relief in his and my mom's eyes is just, it's worth everything. It's worth everything I've gone through to see that. I swear both of them have lost 10 years off their face. I think this is the most they've slept in probably the last 15 years of their life.
And what about your mom?
Me and my mom's relationship is really good. We've always had a good relationship. She's always been my number one fan, but I always said I wanted to be nothing like her. Yeah, I'm exactly like her. And she's the one I call for everything. Mom, my kid's sick. Mom, I need to make this cupcake. Mom, I need to do this. And she has always supported me and always had my back. And it just feels good to be able to go over there and be present and just not have to sneak off to the bathroom every so often or feel so awkward and uncomfortable because I knew I was high and I tried to play it off as normal as possible, yet they all knew I was high. And so it was kind of like the elephant in the room that nobody really wanted to touch, because then it would be some big explosion. So it's really nice to not have that tension anymore. Christmas this year was just amazing. It's been a long time since we've been able to joke and laugh and just really enjoy each other's company like that. It's been years.
One more. What about your son's dad?
Our relationship is the best it's ever been. We just had my son's 6th birthday, and we did it together. We rented out this little bouncy house for him and all of his friends, and my son's dad was there, my boyfriend was there, his family was there, my son's dad's family was there, my family was there, and it just was so easy, so easy. And me and my son's dad have never really had a good relationship. We were very toxic for each other, And it's kind of been that way ever since I left him. He held a lot of resentment towards me because I packed up and left, and he thought that I, took his family from him. So he's held a lot of resentment towards me. And, he's always just wanted the best for me. And now that I can actually have a healthy conversation with somebody, our relationship it's amazing. It's really nice to know that I have his support and that he truly believes his son is safe. Our son is safe with me. He's really good to my boyfriend and his kids, and we were able to go back to our house and open up all of our son's presents together with him and my boyfriend there and our son. And, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about Max. It's not about me or his dad. It's about making sure that he has the most normal life that he can have with having separate parents.
I can tell you, I've really loved and enjoyed this conversation, how open and honest you've been throughout the whole thing. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for stopping by and sharing your story. And if you want to hear the first part of her story, of course, you can go to hear her dad's episode, which was June 18th, Boyd Llewelyn. Dr. Matt, what do you think?
Wow. Thank you, Lauren. You've been, I'm just so impressed with your ability to be open and authentic and talk about such personal things. I'm glad for you mostly because that is one of the best indicators of real growth. You said to your brother a moment ago that this is for real, and I think it is because of that very fact that you can be so authentic and open. That definitely, to me as a psychologist, shows real, genuine growth in a person. But I think my main thought, the theme of today for me, is the power of relationship. Like, this family of yours sticking together with you and how close you guys are, and that relationship between you and your parents, and how powerful that is that your dad didn't lose it on you when he came down and found you in the bathroom smoking, but he just wanted to help.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a wonderful message for everybody listening. Sometimes as parents, we don't know what to do as a parent. And I think if you don't know what to do, just at least check the quality of relationship you have with your kids. If you have a solid relationship with your kids, you'll get through some of the hardest things in life. So thank you for highlighting that today.
Yeah, thank you guys.
5 days away from a year of sobriety. Congratulations, Lauren.
Thank you so much.
You're listening to Project Recovery. If you know somebody who needs some help, have them do what I did and give Pinnacle Recovery Center a call. Project Recovery is a KSL podcast.
The contents of this program are for informational purposes only. The program is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed therapist, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard on this program. KSL does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, physicians, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned on the program. Reliance on any information provided on the program is solely at your own risk.